Hey, welcome to another episode of Art of Magic with me, your host, Jamie Salinas. We are in San Antonio, Texas on a very special night because I have a special guest. Stick around and find out who that is.
Welcome to the show, Art of Magic, with your host, Jamie Salinas.
And we're back, and if you notice, there's a guy behind me, and who is this guy? This is a multi-award-winning act. This is Mr. Stuart MacDonald.
I think the best way to start is, first of all, you have to ask the right question. If you want to have people help you, then you have to ask a question. You don't say, "Did you like the act? Did you whatever?" But the question that works well for me is, I always ask, what bothered you? And the answers that I get give me all kinds of great critical information that I can use to improve on my act. And the other thing that I do is I videotape every single rehearsal. I mean, every single rehearsal. And I look at it and I think, what could I improve in this particular rehearsal? So, like, for instance, when I was doing Penn and Teller Fool Us, when I was rehearsing for that, I had this idea of rehearsing my act 100 times and videotape it 100 times from all kinds of different angles and improve just one thing. Didn't matter what it was, but improve one thing. And that was a 1% point. So at the end of 30 days, I would have 100 rehearsals and improve my act 100%. So that's a good way to kind of look at it. It's just try to figure out if there's one thing that you can improve on each time you do a rehearsal or test a new product or a new prop, something that you've invented. That's the best answer I can give you. Yeah, I've done some really weird stuff. One thing I did is I did a live rehearsal. I said, I put it out on Facebook and I said I'm going to do a Facebook live rehearsal. No matter what happens. So it was like at 8 o'clock and I had a rehearsal in front of 250 people in my living room. It was very risky, and at the end I got one good piece of information. The cloth I was using was too new looking. So I dyed it and made it all matty and the colors faded, and that worked. So you can do things like that. The people that I work with, a lot of them are not magicians. Since the act that I'm trying to do is more of a storytelling act, because I'm not a magician performing this act. All the magic that I do is hidden. So I don't want a magician to really influence me that much, but what I want is somebody who knows how to tell a story. So there's a friend of mine who used to be my theater teacher, who's now a New York Broadway director. And so she taught me in high school, and so she's pretty much my go-to person when I'm trying to write new material. And she'll constantly ask me, why are you doing this? And that's one of the things that you've got to do is you have to look outside of magic. We always seem to think that if we look into magic, that we're going to find the answers, but sometimes you look all around you and you get influences from many, many different directions. I've had engineers watch my act who think, oh yeah, I know how it's done. And as a case in point, my mirror used to be on top of my table as a vanity. And this engineer said, well, it just looks like you're taking stuff off the back of the table. And I'm like, the table has nothing to do with this. And I thought, wait a second, what if I took the mirror off the table, made it a freestanding mirror, and just had a table as a side table, changed the act completely. So it's things like that help me out. Magicians, I would say the best advice that I've gotten from a magician is there's many different advices, but it is Levent told me, Stu, the thing is you need to be, you can't think of your act as like, I've got to be better than these other magicians. It's not that the trick has to be better, but you have to be more clever. And I thought the word clever kind of took that pressure off of me to think of a brand new trick, something that was a new style, a new widget, a new something. And because it's really hard to say, okay, think of a card trick. Holy crap, how do you do that? There's so many different card tricks that you can do. But then when you think of clever, all of a sudden I'm thinking gimmicks, I'm thinking of mechanical stuff, and it just relieves the pressure. So I would say Levent's advice helped me raise another level from a magic standpoint, but at the same point is that he wasn't telling me to do new magic, he was just telling me to be clever.
One of the things I find from time to time is I'll get a magician that'll ask me, hey, what do you think of my act, or what did you think of this? And I start to provide input to them, and then they quickly become defensive. So has that ever happened to you, and how do you handle that?
All the time.
So what do you do in that situation?
What ends up happening, and it's a perfect point, is that I will ask, what bothered you, and then they'll say, well, I do an act that does, I do this, and this, and I do a dove act, and I'm like, wait a second, you're talking to me about your act, and you're telling me about yourself. If you're that person, you just got to shut your mouth. You just have to get to a point where it's like you need to open up your ears and close your mouth and not talk about your act and let people give you input. And I think that sometimes the defensiveness is that they think of those. It's like my act is very personal to me, and those arrows hurt. So I put a shield up, they bounce off, and I'm going to defend my actions on stage because that's, I'm doing this for a particular reason. I've worked really hard on it, and how dare you tell me what I should do with my act? Well, if you're doing the wrong thing, and if multiple people are telling you it's the wrong thing, then it's the wrong thing. You just have to you're in theater, right? So if you're in theater, you've got a director. The director is telling you to face this way, not this way. And if you, as an actor, are saying, no, I want to face this way, but the director's saying, no, the emotion is this way. And so you have to go with what the director is telling you, because the audience is out there. Those are the people who are observing you. And if you don't take direction well, then you shouldn't be in theater at all. Bingo. Case in point.
Okay, well, this is really good advice from this guy. No, this is really great advice. In fact, there's a routine that I do that I've been doing for probably 10 plus years now, and another magician gave me a couple of ideas from Friday night's performance. So that's what I think is you need to be open, and I really appreciate all your input, Stu, and I wish you continued success. And follow this guy. Where can they find information about you?
Oh, sure. Stuart MacDonald Magic.com.
All right, guys, you heard it here. Leave your comments below. We want to know what you think about getting critique and giving critique. So we'll see you on the next episode.
See ya.
Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel.